Today, I want to tell you about an Italian mandolin player, a composer but most famous violinist by the name of Niccolo Paganini. He was born in Genoa, Italy, to a very poor family. His father was a dock worker but enjoyed music, and he played mandolin as well. So his dad started teaching him mandolin, and his mom was very encouraging of this. Now, they realized really quickly that this boy was not an ordinary boy. He had tremendous talent. By the age of 7, he started playing violin as well, which is what we know him for. So once he started playing violin, his father became even more grueling and made him practice sometimes up to 10 hours a day. That is a little much. But he was teaching a lot of it. He was teaching himself. His parents tried to give him lessons, and sometimes they could. They gave him lessons. There was a teacher who was phenomenal and heard him and said, "Look, this kid is amazing. I have nothing to teach him. He is so good already." By the time he was 11, he was performing publicly, dazzling these audiences with his precision, with his speed. They had never heard a violin do what he was able to do. Now, a lot of this teaching he'd been doing to himself, so nobody was telling him, "You can't do that, you need to stop doing this." He just kept trying, and some of the things that he implemented and were new are now just common in violin technique. One of them was a left-handed pizzicato. So normally with a violin, your fingers are here and you're bowing with your right hand, but he would do it where he would put a finger down and then pluck it with his same hand. It was amazing. It had a very different sound. It makes it very fast. Another thing that he was doing was a ricochet bowing, where you're bowing but it's actually bouncing up and down on the bow, and that takes a tremendous amount of precision, a tremendous amount of practice and technique for us nowadays to try and redo what he had done. He was very good at rapid harmonics, and he used a G string a lot more than we had heard up to then, really like high up on the G string. Usually composers weren't doing this, or in performers were doing this, because you can get the same notes on the next strings up. But it does have a different sound way down there on the G string, so that's what he was doing. His arpeggios were so fast and long. They would start all the way down and go as high as you could, and he would do it so fast, like 32nd notes or 64th. Now, while he's out touring and doing all this amazing stuff, his father dies. And that gives him this sense of freedom that he can do whatever he wants. And he's also a teenager, and so teenagers do that anyway, but he no longer had that, that threat of his father on him. So he became very reckless. He started gambling a lot. He was a heavy drinker. He had all kinds of romantic entanglements that sometimes left him in a bad place. But he never quit playing, and he never quit performing, and he never quit trying new things. In 1805, he got a real honest-to-good job. He was a performer, the musician for Napoleon Bonaparte's sister, Princess Elisa. And during this time, he really, really got into the showmanship. He would dress incredibly flamboyantly. He would make sure he was very skinny, and he was very pale. He looked gaunt, but he was he looked how his music sounded, very intense and kind of strange and unbelievable. He made sure the look would match the sound. That was interesting. Now, after he left this job, he started touring. He toured all of Europe. He toured France, he toured Italy, he toured Germany, he toured England, and he gained international fame, of course, because I would like to go hear him too. Audiences were left absolutely in awe. Nobody could believe that this was even doable, because this had never been done. And a rumor started to go around that he made a pact with the devil, and that's why he was so good and able to do things that seemed unhuman. The way he looked, of course, his gaunt figure, didn't help, made it, of course, look like he might have done this with the devil. He also had super long fingers, and it just fueled these rumors that are still happening today. Now, we can all agree that Paganini was a genius, but he was also very troubled. And besides his addictions and his issues, he had health problems. It appears that he had Marfan syndrome or Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But it did give him unusually flexible joints, which was great as a violinist. Not so good, though, for his health. On top of that, he was also drinking a lot and had formed an addiction to opium. Those weren't good for his health either, and he continued to get in these entanglements, these love affairs that ended up not so good. He might have been quite feisty, like his music. I think probably what he is most well known for is he wrote 24 caprices for a violin. These are 24 pieces of no accompaniment, just a solo violin, and they are incredibly, incredibly, incredibly difficult. Technically, it's just like almost undoable. Now, this crazy lifestyle of touring all over, love affairing all over, opium and all this stuff, on top of his real health issues, that doesn't last forever. And by the 1830s, in the late 30s, he started really slowing down. And then in 1840, in Nice, France, he passed away at the age of 57. Now, this was an unexpected death. They knew it was coming, but he refused his last rites with the church. That, of course, only fueled this whole speculation of him selling his soul to the devil even more. It was more than just a rumor, actually. The church denied him burial on consecrated ground. He couldn't be buried in a church cemetery because they were pretty sure he had actually some contract with the devil. Anyway, Paganini completely transformed this violin, this simple, relatively simple instrument, from this very refined classical instrument to one of passion and power, virtuosity, and he did that pretty single-handedly, I think. I would suggest you go listen to Paganini, but definitely the 24 Caprices for solo violin.